Have you ever felt your mind slipping away from you, carrying you into hours of thinking, worrying, imagining what might have been said, what could happen, or what you should have done differently? It all begins with a reaction, one subtle, almost imperceptible reaction that you allow without noticing. Most people believe that overthinking is caused by life, by circumstances, or by the actions of others. But Stoicism teaches something far deeper. It begins not with the world, but with the way your mind responds. That fleeting thought, that momentary judgment, the first whisper of fear or irritation, this is the seed of mental chaos. If observed, it can dissolve instantly. If ignored, it grows, feeding itself, looping endlessly until it clouds every part of your perception. This is the first lesson. The storm begins not outside, but inside. Overthinking is not a weakness. It is the untrained mind reacting habitually to stimuli it cannot control. Think of every time you've been triggered by a word, a tone, or a glance. How many times did your mind race immediately after, replaying the moment, twisting it, imagining consequences that never existed? That first reaction, automatic, unconscious, is where overthinking starts. The Stoics remind us that the external world is indifferent. Nothing outside can disturb you without your consent. The moment you respond with judgment, worry, or attachment, you grant power to thoughts that do not belong to you. When you pause, even for a single breath, and observe this reaction without following it blindly, you create a space where choice exists. In that space, overthinking loses its grip. The first ripple in the pond is inevitable, but the storm is optional. Every overthinking session you've ever had follows this same principle. A single reaction compounds with another and another until hours are lost, energy depleted, and peace vanished. But this is also good news. If overthinking starts with a reaction, it can end with a conscious pause, a moment of awareness, a choice to release. By training yourself to notice, to breathe, to acknowledge without attaching, you begin to reclaim control. Stoic practice is not about stopping thought. It is about observing it, understanding its origin, and refusing to be swept away. The mind is like a river. The currents will always exist. But you can learn to float calmly, without being carried into every eddy and whirlpool. Consider how often your reaction is automatic, a comment misinterpreted, a glance assumed to be judgmental, a tone that feels like criticism. In that instant, the mind reacts. It spins, it anticipates, it rehearses endless scenarios. You feel powerless because you are unaware of the first spark. Once observed, that spark is transformed. Overthinking is not a matter of the world demanding your attention. It is a matter of the mind giving attention where it is not needed. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control events, but we can control our perception of them. The moment between stimulus and response is sacred. In that gap lies freedom. Observe the reaction, name it internally, breathe through it, and the habit of overthinking begins to crumble. And yet, most people never notice the first step. They chase the consequences, argue with imagined outcomes, and exhaust themselves trying to control what cannot be controlled. This is where Stoic wisdom offers a radical shift. Step back and notice the initial reaction. Observe the subtle tightening of your mind, the first twinge of judgment, the tiny flicker of anxiety. Let it exist without consuming your attention. When you do this consistently, the mind learns to pause automatically. The storm may still appear, but the eye of calm remains. Each pause, each breath, each deliberate observation reinforces the mind's resilience, builds the muscle of awareness, and trains overthinking to dissolve before it begins. Now imagine practicing this daily. A small irritation at work, a misinterpreted message from a friend, a sudden flash of self-doubt. Normally, these ignite hours of rumination. But now, you notice the reaction, observe it fully, and release it. You feel the surge, but you do not follow it. You feel the judgment, but you do not cling to it. You feel the worry, but you do not act on it. Overthinking for the first time meets a barrier, your conscious presence. The mind remembers calm. The habit of uncontrolled reaction slowly fades. Peace becomes the default. Thought flows without chains, without loops, without distraction. This is not magic, it is discipline. It is patience. It is the daily cultivation of awareness. Each reaction you notice, each thought you release, each pause you honor, builds the architecture of a serene mind. You begin to understand the Stoic principle that only your own mind can disturb you, and only your own mind can liberate you. Overthinking is not eliminated by avoidance, distraction, or external change. It is tamed by conscious attention, by the deliberate decision to observe before engaging. The mind is trained to see the pebble, but not to churn the pond, and so the journey is simple in structure, profound in impact. The first reaction is always the gateway. Observe it, release it, and the hours lost to rumination are returned. Life will continue to offer pebbles, triggers, and moments that tempt your attention. The difference now is that you are no longer at the mercy of the automatic mind. You are present, you are aware, you are disciplined. Overthinking no longer dictates your energy or your peace, because the first reaction is now met with calm observation instead of impulsive attachment. The storm still exists, but your center remains. Freedom is not in controlling the world, it is in mastering the response, in owning the first moment, in witnessing without surrender. In this awareness, the mind learns to rest, the thoughts learn to flow, and the chaos dissolves into clarity. You realize that overthinking starts with one reaction, and that reaction, when mastered, transforms everything.